I'll give you a call ahead of time, but I'll be within the area, probably 10, 15, 20 minutes away from you, so to give you time.
Okay. What time is it? It's 11:50. You say in a couple hours?
Well, that's all you had to be, Mama.
All right.
All right, I love you.
Love you too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, when you got felonies on your records, it's like to have to go through every hoop, sign this paper, do this and that, and it's too much. Because even though I'm out, I still feel like I'm in prison.
Jury trials in Oregon for over 80 years stood nearly in a league of their own.
Oregon was one of 2 states that allowed a guilty verdict, even if every juror did not think the person was guilty.
Not 12 jurors, just 10.
I would probably never been in this position if I just got my due process.
For sort of people who don't know that much about the law or the criminal system, I think what people do know is juries are unanimous in the United States. That's what everyone thinks. Basically, non-unanimous juries are when Oregon and Louisiana historically allowed 10 of 12 people to find somebody guilty of felonies, even though there may have been 1 or 2 people on a jury in a criminal felony case that thought the person was innocent or that the state did not prove its case, they still could be convicted. The United States Supreme Court ruled in 2020 in April that non-unanimous juries are unconstitutional. So going forward, no more non-unanimous juries. But what about all the people in 85 years who were convicted by a non-unanimous jury? There are people sitting in Oregon's prisons, and there are people out of prison who have served their time who have an unconstitutional conviction. And the issue of retroactivity is, what are we doing for those people? Can that apply to people going backwards?
It's a trip coming to this neighborhood after being gone for 20-some years, man. Well, 21 years. Because I didn't see none of this change. Everybody kept telling me about it. Man, there was so much gang violence on this street right here. You didn't hear that when I was growing up. All of them kids laughing, there wasn't none of that happening. None of that. Of course, it changed a little bit different. What's going on, man?
Man, congratulations, man. Where you been home?
I've been out for over a year. I got a clemency from the governor.
That's cool, man. My son over here at school now, they doing the run for the arts for school.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff, man. Yeah, we finna go hook up with this other. I appreciate you, bro. Stay easy, man.
Oregon is famous for stacking charges. They said went in there, robbed the tavern, left out of there, said it all happened in, I guess, under a minute and a half. 6 counts of first-degree robbery, 6 counts of second-degree robbery, 6 counts of first-degree kidnap, 1 count of burglary. I was sentenced to 396 months. For those who don't know, that's 33 years. I'm still feel like I'm checking in with the dude at the prison thing, telling me, hey man, tell him to crack my cell so I can go to work, man, and go do some work. So having a felony, man, it's hindering for me because I'm a traveling man. I like to travel. I don't want to be confined or have to keep asking permission to see this earth. And there was this passage, man, I read, and it was, didn't I make this earth spacious enough for you to roam? And I think about that phrase for like years, every day. And having this not on my record, to have that type of freedom, I'll be able to reach more people, man.
So you can't really talk about non-unanimous juries without talking about how we even got this law. The 1920s in Oregon is very well documented as a time where we had the highest percentage of KKK and white supremacists. The KKK had infiltrated and was a part of all of our government in Portland and around the state. And right around that time, there was a trial for this guy, Jake Silverman. This was a sensational murder trial involving a Jewish suspect. It took place in Columbia County. Prosecutors charged him with first-degree murder, and they wanted the death penalty. But the jurors couldn't agree. And so he ended up with manslaughter and a big fine. And it led to this ballot measure to amend the state's constitution to allow a 10-2 jury. 58% passed this. And it stayed there until 2020. There was a lot of discrimination against immigrants from Europe coming in at the time, including Jewish people. And me, personally, I am Jewish, and a lot of why I do the work that I do is because of the way I was taught growing up as a Jewish person. It's a very big part of, where I feel compelled to repair the world. Probably I would have fought against it anyway, but it just adds, I guess, a personal layer. It was a really amazing example of how discriminatory reaction can lead to really bad law.
So in 2016, I was called for jury service. It was a felony case, and we took some time to deliberate. And after deliberations, we initially started out with 9-3. And then once we learned that we had to come back to continue deliberations the next day, one of the people who were in the minority with me decided to go with the majority just so she didn't have to come back the next day. And so this person was found guilty because someone didn't want to come back the next day. And I remember the attorney coming over to me and he says, this was put on the books to silence the minority. Not only the racial minority, but also the minority who might be on a jury. And so once I understood that, I kind of saw my role in this to be just a little bit bigger. And therefore, I wanted to continue to tell people, this is why it's problematic. I got an example of why it's problematic. Not because you can't get people to agree, but because if someone just doesn't want to do it, that then becomes a rationale just to, go with the easy button, which is unfair.
You were listening to the Tin Can Phone Podcast
On K-Boo Portland,
where you can hear about the influence incarceration has straight from the sources. We tell the stories from the inside out.
I'm just glad to be here. It's been a stressful time, and we have been waiting on the Oregon Supreme Court to make a ruling, and I look at the news like 4 or 5 times a day thinking, something's gonna come out. So I just wanna welcome Takuma to the show, and maybe you can share a little bit about how this affects you and really anything that you want to talk about.
Last year, I had a struggle coming out. I actually was homeless for about 9 months. Reason why is because when I got out, I was married, right? You know, and I'm not going to go down that story, but we parted amicably within the first 3 or 4 months of me coming out. And that was seen as everything is finna crumble because I was one of the first people who got out on clemency. When that happened, everybody had got the word that I was separated from my wife. I just got out. Oh, what's going to happen to him? So now everybody had these narratives, right? Oh, he's going to a tent. Oh, he's on meth. Oh, I say, oh, he's looking like this. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I got out with shit. I may look like a whole bunch of damn things because I don't have shit, right? Not only am I fighting an old narrative of what I went to jail for, you know what I mean? I'm coming out like, oh, he's out. You know, the last thing I left on their mind was this guy that did these crimes.
Takuma, sometimes during that time when you're houseless and you're in that struggle, were there times that you're like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I don't know which direction this is gonna go. Or did you always have faith?
I almost went to prison about 5 times. My uncle let me stay there, gave me the reprieve that I needed because he said, man, just get on your feet, nephew. You know what I mean? And it gave me a time to breathe and to think. And I was able to say, you know what, let me start reaching out. Hence what I was talking about earlier. I reached out to Elisa. And she met with me, got me coffee, and we talked. And she gave me the direction that I needed. Never looked back.
Like, I see you. Like, I think at our heart, we want to be part of community, right? The more people in society that say, like, we got you, the more that society can welcome people back, the better.
I better go straight to the gas station. Just thought about it. That's where I was planning on going from here. I'm glad I thought about that before I got on the highway. Actually, gas station right here. Perfect. $3.99 a gallon, huh? Well, that's about $2 cheaper than last time. Hello. Hey, how's it going? Let me get, I want to spend, let me see what I got in here. Here you go. Give me a regular.
What was that?
Regular. It's 15 regular, yeah.
15 regular?
Man, when I was locked up, I spent a lot of years thinking about the disappointments. And I said, you know what? My mom used to brag about me to her friends when I was a child about all my accomplishments. Running track, ribbons, trophies. I mean, she had everything. And the one thing that was eating me up the whole time I was down was the fact that I couldn't make my mama proud. I was like, man, this is some devastating shit. I said, here I am sitting in this penitentiary. My mama's out there, and she has no stories to tell of her son, but everybody's asking, Nita, how your son doing? Or where is he at? And it's hard. I know it's hard. I know it was hard for her to try to explain, oh, he's doing good. I talked to him, or I went to visit him. And no mother wants to talk about that for 20 years, you know, after being so proud. So a lot of my quest out here is to make my mom proud, man. I didn't want my mom to leave this earth disappointed in me, man. Because if she did, man, that shit would have crushed me, man.
The question is, what do we want to put in it that we're saying everything we need to say, but not dissuading them from signing up if they really want to talk about something? We'll never be able to undo the injustice that this law has created. But what we can do, if the court is willing to find retroactivity, is it's not only righting a wrong, it's saying we're going to do as much justice as we can so you can have faith in the system. So I don't know what will happen, but I really hope that our court understands the gravity of making this right, even though it won't really help everyone who is affected by this.
I hope that one day I can get this off me and retroactivity will apply to me in the ways that Me and my family and other families can rejoice in their own ways, and I still empathize, with those families that have been affected, because it may not be necessarily a victory for them, and I understand that.
What worries me is that right now there's no protection for victims. I feel for everybody involved in this. I feel for the defendants who are sitting in prison or have convictions on their record from a non-unanimous jury. I feel for the victims who are sitting there knowing that, they may be facing this again. The cases are going to come back in such a large number, and they're going to be going through the system, and people are not prepared. Some of the older cases, there aren't going to be people available to testify. So they're not going to be retried, and the cases, if they can't resolve them by plea, they're going to be dismissed. And there's going to be a lot of victims who are out there who end up with no justice. It's heartbreaking to think about, and it's heartbreaking to see how this is going to play out for some of these victims who are never going to be the same because of what happened to them.
So when do you think that the Oregon Supreme Court is going to rule on the remaining cases?
I think it's going to come out next week,
I think you're right.
right before the holiday.
In some ways, it's like this is the big reveal. I mean,
It
it's
is.
a big decision. It's huge.
Yeah. Everyone keeps asking me if I'm nervous. And I do understand how hard it is, and I do understand, especially for very old cases, that it brings up all sorts of trauma. But as someone who represented innocent people for a really long time earlier in my career, I also know how much trauma that causes everyone involved, including the victims. The advocacy around ending non-unanimous juries and giving people a chance to have a fair trial is not about any individual case. It's not about any individual set of facts. It is about ensuring that people have a fair and just trial, and one that does not involve an unconstitutional conviction.
Check out the space. I think it's probably a good opportunity to...
Okay. I seen him in the back.
I'm gonna go one step further, just so you know. We love having you around.
Yeah, we don't...
Trust me, I'm not even standing out here without you guys being a part of my journey. So I'm always, when I got time, you got it.
Right on.
We're excited to see you and hear about all the good things we've been up to.
I started the job November 14th. I was onboarded. My title here is Restorative Justice Instructor Facilitator. The whole purpose of the program is to try to provide alternatives to incarceration. That's so hard. I just got this flyer from Portland Police and all that stuff. This Sunday is a holiday event for children and families impacted by gun violence. We will have food, activities, crafts for kids, photos, toy giveaways, bicycle, skateboards. They registered, 350 families registered so far, all the elves and all that stuff. This is the actual flyer.
Can you forward that to me?
Yes. Yep. My name is Takuma Jackson. I am instructor facilitator for Lutheran Community Services Northwest. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys and being along this journey. What made me really take on this job was I had to realize that those guys that were trying to administer restorative justice, cut down recidivism, whatever it was, to try to intervene in my life, those guys were NBA players and counselors from over here, someone with a QMHPC or master's in socials work. And I'm like, what am I, just a case study? And so I come in, in the same authoritative presence as my coworkers, my boss, and everyone else, but also that person that may be able to say something that resonate with them, opposed to someone that's not of their race, color, or background, or association, whatever, you know what I mean? So I knew how important that was for me to come in and bring those experience, strengths, and hopes.
I need you to pay these things up. I tried to do it just now, and I'm scared. I got in the chair, and I still couldn't reach it.
Well, I might come by there later on today then and do that.
Okay, yeah, I would like to know a little bit more about what you'll be doing.
Okay.
Look forward to seeing you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, huh?
Okay, love you.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
take this just in case I need an extra charger.
Well, I can get up.
Well, you gotta get up eventually.
Yeah. But I couldn't get up there.
Okay.
That was your job.
Yeah, we're definitely finna see. All right. Oh, bam, bam. Oh, we're gonna work our way down and up and around. Yeah.
I was gone a long time, but I'm so glad he utilized his time in there, just wasn't sitting in there doing nothing. He learned. I could see him and hear him, the hurt in his voice and the frustrations that he was going through, and I'd be in my room and I would just pray. I would pray hard that he'd be able to come out and I would still be alive to see him. Because if he hadn't got out when he did, and he hadn't gotten to clemency, and the Lord bless for me to still be alive, if he had to do all his time, I would be 75 years old, which is 10 years from now, something like that, almost 10 years. 11 years from now. So I'm glad. I'm very grateful that he made it home.
Let me get it from you. We'll see how that works out.
Anyone? Okay.
All right.
You want a juice?
Yes.
Some water?
Yes, I actually have to some water and some juice.
Cold water?
Why you got this up?
If it's one thing that I could say to my son, TJ, always know that Mama loves you. Always have. Love you.
I love you too. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so busy.
He has accomplished quite a bit, and I'm very proud of him. Very, very proud.
TJ,
Hey.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Do you know the news yet?
Actually, no, I just got up this morning like 30 minutes ago and got dressed.
Well, we won.
Are you serious?
Your lawyer's gonna, in the next couple weeks, gonna file a motion to vacate. And then when it's all done, we'll expunge all your arrests for you.